WURDradio.com, a tin can and a string. You can catch us just about anywhere. Somebody's probably actually doing Morse code and like the little lights that they used to do historically back on ships.
Yes.
When they didn't want
yes, they flash the lights.
They didn't want the enemy to know what was going on.
No.
So that's what you can. So there's probably somebody literally doing that right now with everything that we say. The drums are beating. The drums from Africa, how we used to communicate to one another.
Man,
Somebody's playing. Somebody's playing the drums. Oh, Royster just said, uh-oh. He said, what? That's right. So sitting across from me this morning is Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
And the glue holding this ship together, sometimes by a thread, is none other than Kawesa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kawesa. How you doing today?
I'm all right. You know, I'm here, doing okay.
Yeah. How was that ride in today? What's that weather like?
Not bad. The weather, well, no, okay, wait, rewind. So the drive-in, not bad. Got here, pretty quickly, pretty smoothly. So not too much traffic. It is chillier today than it was yesterday. So I did have to actually cut my heat on just a little bit, play with the temperature a little bit. But yeah, it was kind of chilly. But I think it's supposed to go up to like the low 60s or something like that. But yeah, it was chillier than I had anticipated, I think. I don't know when it's supposed to get a little bit warmer because it still feels, I don't know, fallish maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, this is for sure pneumonia weather, right? The temperature like drops down to nothing, then it wants to heat up during the day, and then it drops back down again.
This is California weather.
That's the Bay weather.
It's the Bay Area weather. I don't know what y'all complaining about. I keep trying to tell you. Leave in the morning with the jacket, then carry with you some shorts and some sneakers, but also throw some boots in the trunk for later on and a heavy sweater and a hoodie. It's California weather. It makes you crazy.
Yes, I can see that. And
see what I'm wearing.
I see what you're wearing. Well, you have a thing. I came downstairs. It's freezing in the basement. Oh, you got Oaktown on there. That's very nice. That's beautiful. But you're in Philly. That's beautiful. But you are. Of course, I always refer to Oakland as the Philadelphia of the West Coast. It really is. Well, it was. It was. Let me just say it was. It's not anymore.
Why not?
Because it's gentrifying, man. I mean, it's gentrifying faster than Philly is.
Excuse me. It's like the gentrifying pot calling the gentrifying kettle black.
Oakland is gentrifying faster. People in San Francisco are making a beeline to Oakland because they can get a house for $100,000 cheaper.
Dude, there's a story in the Inquirer today talking about Francisville and like dog parks and whatever. Come on, man. Come on. Seriously. We couldn't even take the black bikers vote through North Philly because of all the development and people being pushed out with all the big potholes for the new utilities coming in. Are you literally trying to tell me Oakland is like somehow doing something different than this city? You kidding me? You kidding me? Have you driven down Ridge lately?
Have I? Yeah, I have driven down Ridge not too long ago, and I did notice that there's a lot of development going on.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, the same street that I almost caught a bullet on like a few years ago, now it's like the people who were shooting at me can't afford to live there anymore. Well, they weren't shooting at me. They were shooting at each other, and I just almost drove right through it.
Yeah, that's happened to me, actually. It's not a very pleasant experience.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you can, like, smell the gunpowder in your car after you drive through it. It's like,
that's what happened to me. I drove through smelling the gunpowder. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, then not to mention my man, like, takes off running in my direction. I'm like, no. Don't lead them this way. Now, my car is pretty fast. I hit the brakes, threw it in reverse, and mashed backwards. That Oakland instinct kicked in, dug down. They probably thought I was involved. I'm like, no, I'm trying to get home safely.
I hear you.
We laugh about it because it's easier than crying.
Absolutely.
Is there do you have the Jaws music queued up? I'm not even on Facebook Live yet, but I understand that we've been invaded already. Is that true?
Yes, we have.
He just wants to brag.
I think he said something about something you pronounced was wrong, and then told me that I was old because I said pneumonia weather. So
I think he just wants to brag. You know why, right?
Why is that?
So we're talking about none other than Nick Talafero, who has like the cool. Yeah, there it is. Is that it? Yeah. So, so he wants to brag because yeah, because tonight on his show, evening words with
Evening
Nick,
words.
which I still can't tell if it's a talk show or like some kind of like romantic show. Where he said, come in, my dear. It's time for evening words with Nick. He turns the lights down. It's like, well, I thought this was a talk show. Yeah. So, but tonight he is actually interviewing one of my favorite comics of all time.
Mhm.
Seriously, he is underrated. Tommy Davidson.
Mm.
Man, Tommy Davidson is the truth. I mean, I'm telling you, that guy, I mean, now he's not the best stand-up comic. There are tons of stand-up comics that are better than him.
Right.
But understanding how to be a comic in a film or on TV, I mean, dude, I mean, remember him on In Living Color.
Yeah.
I mean, what made Jamie Foxx's Wanda character so funny was Tommy Davidson on the other side of that, always like being fooled, right? So I can't wait for that interview.
Yes. They
Can't wait
are
for it. That's tonight, 4 to 7, evening words.
evening words with Nick Talafero.
Hey, speaking of, I'm glad he showed up so we could promote that. But there's a lot going on this week on WURD that you all don't want to miss. Obviously, there's a lot of coverage going on related to the election that happens 1 week from today in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. The district attorney will likely be decided in the Democratic primary because, again, I mean, you know, what Republican has a chance?
A Republican who's a Democrat, that's who has a chance.
Yeah, who also said last week that all the, you know, just he wants to remove from society, you know, the teenagers who are causing all this trouble out here. On the AKA's town hall, by the way, that's what the Republican Peruto said. He said, you know, it's never good when you start off with, I know this is going to get me in trouble and I'm going to lose votes, but I'm going to say it anyway. He said,
well, Peruto said the only way he's going to run is if Krasner wins. So if Vega wins, he's going to drop out of the race.
Okay.
But you know, that's some crazy stuff, man.
But on WRD this week, actually tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., if you want to hear from the candidates, you get a chance to hear at least from the incumbent Larry Krasner and challenger Carlos Vega. It'll be hosted by Charles Ellison, Joanne Bell, and Solomon Jones at 2:30. I'm sorry, scratch that, bro. 1 p.m. to 2:30. 1 p.m. tomorrow to 2:30. And then on the next day, more sobering, will be the anniversary of the move. I don't even know what you can call that. Travesty, tragedy, attack on American citizens here in the city of Philadelphia. White supremacy at its finest, air quotes. But we'll be talking live to, I believe, Ulysses, Africa, and other shows will also be covering that as well. If you're watching this morning on Facebook or on YouTube, hit the share button for us and bring others into the conversation as we get ready to get into kind of the meat of what we have to talk about on today. So, bro.
Yes.
In Montgomery County, they're finally really teaching young people things.
Okay.
Yep. They're getting a real education now. So, did you hear about the NAACP up there, the youth group?
This one, the one in Cheltenham. Yes, I did.
Yeah, and what they've discovered, so they've been addressing issues of race within the school for some time, but it says they were stuck in their tracks. This is the Youth Leadership Committee,
right,
of the Cheltenham branch of the NAACP.
That is correct.
And Springfield Townships, I guess it's Springfield High School.
Yeah, Springfield High School, Township High School up there. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is right next to Cheltenham.
Yeah. So these kids are finally learning how the world works. Bravo, brava. They discovered, as they were going through records, they got to the disciplinary records of black girls. And they were like, whoa, 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 what is this? Why are black girls being disproportionately hit with detention and suspensions?
That's correct.
Only make up like 30% of the school's population, but disproportionately make up those who are on detention and who are being suspended. They're like, what is going on? And I'm sure at that point, some teacher came out from behind the curtain and said, you did it. You have finally understood how America works. Congratulations. We give you a cap and gown early. You got it. This is America. This is the training course. But don't worry, you'll need these skills later because pretty much this is how the world operates.
Yes.
They're like, huh? Yeah, you just really learned something today. You done learned yourself something.
Lord have mercy.
Am I lying?
No, I mean, it's actually interesting. So years ago, when we started first looking at education, one of the things that came up was the discipline system, and that it discovered that even in elementary school, black girls were 4 times more likely to be suspended or expelled than white girls were. And this actually even went back into pre-K situations, not just in Philadelphia, but across the country. So there is deep disparity in the way that black girls are treated and disciplined in schools. And part of this impact, in fact, is tied directly to the fact that people perceive black girls to be older than what they are. And so there's a perception that somehow or another they're older because they're oftentimes bigger, heavier than their white counterparts, and thus are treated as adults instead of being treated as children. It's just like that issue with the cop not too long ago. I was just working with some folk in Rochester where the police had handcuffed and arrested a 9-year-old, and the cop said to her, stop acting like a child. And she responded and said, I am a child. You know, there's this perception that somehow these kids are older, that they don't deserve a second chance, that somehow or another their, behavioral issues are systemic as opposed to just being kids having temper tantrums. In terms of like the little white kids that are having temper tantrums in the middle of the floor in the supermarket, they don't get thrown out. Mothers just leave them there as they go. A black parent would have addressed that. So in many ways, the schools are seeing these kids, teenagers, young preteen young girls, seeing them as women, and then immediately expelling them, immediately sending them to detention, immediately suspending them one way or the other. And it's a tragedy that have not often been talked about because, to be frank, we don't often talk about a lot what's happening with black girls.
Yeah, but it's not. Look, I hear that, and I don't take anything away from that, but it's not just black girls. We talk about the discipline and the ways in which in public school in particular, heck, even in Catholic school and all private schools, that discipline is meted out differently with black children than it is with white children.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
it's the same as criminal justice system, right? It's a reflection of that.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, and I don't even know that it's, okay, so maybe it is adultification when it comes to the schools, but I also think it's just straight up racism. And,
that too.
And it's like, white kids in my school, I went to, so my mom pulled me out of public school early, sent me to Catholic school through high school, from like 3rd grade through high school in Oakland. And especially when I got to the high school, it was disproportionately white. And there were just a handful of black students. I think, in fact, my graduating class, there may have been 20 some odd black males in the entire graduating class. And so that kind of gives you an idea of like, just the numbers. But bro, we disproportionately made up, detention and suspensions. And well, nobody really got suspended there. They didn't want that blemish on them since this was like a premier institution. But I thought detention was my middle name.
Oh, wow. Did you really?
I deserved a lot of it, but so did a lot of my friends who were white who didn't get it. I won't call their names because I'm friends with them on Facebook, but they know who they are. Who did some of the same stuff. In fact, I'll tell the story when we come back from break. I don't want to start it, and because it's 6:20 in the morning right now. We're going to take a quick break and posting in Facebook, on the Facebook chat, or also on YouTube, your thoughts. I mean, is the public school or just school in general, K through 12, that experience, is that training ground for real life? Or are we just making more of this, this thing that the youth in Cheltenham and Springfield just stumbled upon? Are we just making more out of it than we should? This is the Power Hour. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
Anthony Wright was wrongfully convicted of murder after he spent over 2 decades in prison. DNA exonerated him. In 2016, Carlos Vega re-prosecuted him anyway.
I was in prison, convicted of a crime that I didn't commit. Every single person that was involved was corrupt. I think about Carlos Vega. I think about the devil. I think about racism.
Vote now. Vote Krasner for DA. Paid for by Lawrence Krasner for District Attorney.
From safe to seamless, convenient to contactless, and local to express, SEPTA is the Philly way to go. Plan your trip at iseptaphilly.com.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Come on out and become a WURD Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun. Call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. Come on out and become a WURD Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun.
The Black Words Book Club. WURD Radio's monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for May is Living in Color by Tommy Davidson. Be sure to listen live, as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, May 11th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions, which we have plenty of. We are Opinion Talk Radio.
That's right. And so we're talking about the fact that the K through 12 system is often the gateway toward not only mass incarceration and the disparities there by race, but pretty much everything else. It's kind of it's a mirror image of what happens in the rest of life. You know what I mean? It's this. Start from the arbitrary ways in which people are placed in the higher level tracks by the opinion of a kindergarten teacher. Oh, right. You look like you should be in track A or B, which will ultimately become the college track. I don't know. You're 5 or 6 and you're not doing this or doing that yet. We ought to put you in track C or D, which is remedial, where you will be stuck the rest of your academic life. And by the time you get to grade 12, you'll wonder why you're not ready for college. It's because you haven't been prepared, right?
Right.
So, let's not play any games. This is all documented in research. But the question is whether or not, what's happening within our schools with discipline, especially of black children, if this is setting us up for something else. I think it is. Now, Andre's on Facebook disagrees. And so let me read his comment. He says, I do not agree. I believe this means I went to school in the 90s and all my black sisters were smart and top of their class. We have to start looking at ourselves, what we're doing wrong. We blame cops, white people, and the whole world. But what we are doing to lead us to this, we need to talk about accountability. Okay.
So then, did you see Tawanda's response to Andre, though?
No.
So Tawanda says, Andre Torres, it would be interesting to hear the perspective of the black sisters themselves.
Well, right. So, I mean, so let me just say this. So I appreciate the comment, first of all, Andre. So it's good to know that, like I said, again, that there are people who differ from us. I told you, I hear people tell me all the time that we make them yell at the radio in the morning or whatever device you're listening. So let me just share this with you and with others who don't hold the same opinion that we're expressing right now. When you think about it, let's look at the incarceration rate, first of all. So black Americans make up 13% of the population. White Americans right now, 64%. Well, this is going back to 2010. Those numbers are beginning to shift some. But in 2010, and I can't believe the numbers are too different now, black folk outpaced white people in incarceration rates. The 40% of the incarcerated population in America was made up of black people, only 39% of white people. Now, is that because somehow black people and white people are just inherently different? Black people just steal more, kill more, are more violent, or more prone to, felonies? Is that what it is? Or is it just that we just don't take accountability or responsibility for our behavior? Or is it that the system views us differently? I tend to think it's the latter. In fact, think about this one thing. Sentencing for cocaine, crack cocaine versus powder for 30 years before the Fair Sentencing Act. Now, 30 years, that's a generation, right? A generation of black people faced, for 5 grams of crack, you would face a mandatory 5-year prison sentence.
That's right.
That is a very small amount. 10 grams would get you 10 years. So if we're talking about accepting responsibility, then why is it that it would take 500 grams of powder cocaine, which you can't make crack without, and is the same substance, add baking soda and cook it.
Right.
500 grams of powder is what it took to get a 5-year mandatory sentence. 5 grams of crack gotcha 5.
And the difference? The 500 grams was being bought by lawyers in their law offices in downtown cities across the country. The 5 grams of crack were being bought by poor people in black neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
And who's helping write that policy? Those same lawyers. All right, write this part. Wait, 500? Is that enough? Better make it 1,000. Better make it 1,000. What do I need to get through the weekend? I'm like, are you kidding? And so, listen, most of us are informed by our experiences, right? So I told you I went to a predominantly white college prep high school that my mother made me go to. I was very unhappy most of my high school time because I felt like nobody wanted me there. And, maybe I just had the wrong attitude about it.
I don't think so.
But, I don't make any bones about the fact that I got into a lot of trouble. But I'll never forget. So oftentimes kids from Castlemont, where all of my friends went, and the catchment that I lived in, would come to O'Dowd and they would get into fights with the white kids, right? They jump on the white kids, and sometimes a lot of these white kids would provoke this stuff, right? So it turns into a fight. It's high school. Dude, like the priests, the nuns, everybody would come out fighting these black kids off of white kids. I saw it like repeatedly. One day I'm at school, some guys from Castlemont come to jump me, 2 guys. And I'm like, literally, we're fighting, and this guy picks me up. He's like a football player, like from behind, throws me through a woman's car window, the front windshield. I'm in a parent's lap who's picking her kid up after school. She's screaming and hollering. I'm like, what are you screaming for? I got thrown through the window. So I get out, and we're still fighting. And the vice principal of the school runs out, snatches me by my collar, cusses me out in front of the entire school, tells me to go to his office. And I stopped, and I'm like, whoa, bro. I'm not a little activist yet, but I sense what was extremely wrong in this moment. Like, are you kidding me? I've watched you all, like, I've watched you all take L's on behalf of white students who've been jumped. These people came to my school, jumped me in my school, and you come out and cuss me out in front of my classmates and tell me to go to the office as though I invited this or something? And you're not going to defend me and stand here with me? And I returned the flurry of expletives. One of the old priests sat me down, the dean of students, in his office, because the vice principal didn't know what to do with me at that point. He says, Mark, you're right. That was absolutely wrong. And we didn't have your back. And I'm like, yeah, well, go tell that to the rest of the school after you embarrass me. And but this is the experience that many of us carry. So don't tell me in Cheltenham that somehow this is just oh, my bad. How did we do this? It's because that's what you do. White kids can do the exact same things, and it's just a talking to. Black kids do the same thing or less, and it is detention, it is suspension, it is a pathway to being expelled from that good school in Springfield and sent somewhere else.
That's right.
This is America. Like I said again, kudos to these young students who found this out early. You don't have to wait till you're an adult to get your heart broken. You know it now. You have learned what you were sent there to learn.
Absolutely. You've learned the school of hard knocks.
Right. What a joke.
Yeah. I mean, this is a man, I've got some experience to talk about, but I'm not going to do that today because I overexpose myself sometimes. So, I just to say that those experiences are real.
Yeah.
And I mean, we also need to talk about the ways that those white institutions, when you have black students in there, pit black students against black students as well. Yeah. And that's a whole nother story for another day. But, this is the tragedy, right? That vice principal made assumptions about you without even asking any questions, right? Came out, cussed you out, didn't get rid of the other kids that were doing, this stuff that didn't go to the school, that cussed you out, and then, tried to embarrass you in front of your classmates. And the assumption is that you're no good and that you brought your no good people up here, and this is what happens when we let you into the school. That's really what they're thinking, even though they're not articulating that, but that's what they're thinking. Right. And when you think about Cheltenham or Springfield or even certain parts of Montgomery County, and, my parents live in Montgomery County. I've lived in Montgomery County. I was a councilman in Norristown, right? Norristown's a little different than the rest of Montgomery County. But the reality is that when our children are in these environments when there are not a lot of other students of color, a lot of times those folk are like, we don't want your kind here. We don't have any other way to express it other than these aggressions. And some of them are microaggressions, some of them are macroaggressions, but we don't have another way to express this. We don't know, we don't care about trying to limit our implicit bias. We're just going to let it fly. And it doesn't become implicit anymore. It becomes totally intentional bias that happens in these circumstances. That's what's happening with our young girls. That's what's happening with our young boys in these schools, in these environments where people automatically assume you can't.
Yeah. And listen, I want to say, so Andres, appreciate the comment as well, who said we're his favorite guys. He listens every morning. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And so, and so let me just say, so his last comment is, we as minorities have to do better. They want us to fail. Yes, you are absolutely right. They want us to fail. We have to do better. But I think that we can do both. That on the one hand, you can have you need personal responsibility and accountability. I don't think you have ever heard us talk about just go out and do whatever you want because it's not your fault. That's not what we say. That's not what we've ever said. I've never heard Bishop say it. I've never said that. And that's not what we have ever, intimated, right? But at the same time, we also recognize that when a system is designed, not for your good, but for your detriment, that you also have to attack that system. Yeah. And so it is both and. It is not either or. It is yes. So a part of my own experience was accepting my responsibility. But at the same time, because I got out of it, did not change the fact that at that same time in the mid-'80s, when I got off the streets and stopped doing wrong, that they were still over sentencing black folk for crack and under sentencing white folk for cocaine, and that is systemic, and that part has to be challenged and dismantled and worked on. And I just think you can do both of those things without somehow playing the victim card, which is what I kind of see Raphael leaning into. But
let me just say this too, right? Actually, it's so funny we're having this conversation this morning. Literally late last night, friend of mine called me, and we were having this conversation about something that's happening in another state right now with a young black girl. And I was telling her when I was talking with her about this, I'm like, look, the system is stacked against us. And I said it's very difficult to try to maintain. She was talking about the fact that people just seem so hopeless, like they don't care. And I'm like, it's not that they're hopeless, but nobody's shown up for them with hope. Right? There's a way, and I've said this on the show numerous times. Cornel West talks about this when he was writing about Prophesied Deliverance, which was a book about Philadelphia. He talked about this pervasive sense of nihilism, right? This pervasive sense of deep hopelessness that gets so deeply inside the bones of a community, because when you've had generation after generation of repeated hopelessness, repeated struggle, repeated pain, it becomes very difficult to find hope. And one of the challenges that we have is it is sometimes difficult to become something that you have never seen modeled in front of you. And so when you have multiple generations that are caught up in a poverty cycle, not necessarily of their own making, but because not only are they struggling, but the systems around them are struggling to meet their needs, it's difficult for them to be able to operate differently, to be differently, to show up differently in the world. It's not until you actually are able to get outside of that system that you're actually able to take a look at it. One of the best things, I have to admit, that for me, as even a grown adult, was leaving the Philadelphia area and going down to D.C. for a few years, and then coming back and looking at Philadelphia now with a totally different set of eyes, and saying to myself, wow, if we could do this, we could get here. And part of the challenge that we have is that, I hate to say it like this, but Philadelphia tends to be incestuous, right? We hang with the same people, stay in the same neighborhood. We don't have new experiences. And so we continually perpetuate cycles of lack of imagination and lack of hope, because we don't have an imagination of what the world could be outside of Philadelphia. We don't have an idea what the world could be outside of our neighborhoods. And the same thing is true for our politicians. And so we have folk that have no imagination, no creativity, no ability to imagine differently, and not willing to take risk. Because the thing about creating change, even if you want to go someplace different, you've got to be willing to take risk and put yourself out there. And so these are some of the challenges that we face in our city that are not of our own making, and that, we have this deep sense of hopelessness. Now, our job is to show up like hope. Right. And so that when you show up like hope, people, as I heard the Reverend Alvin Herring say over and over again, his mama told him, if you show up like hope, people will hand you their hopelessness. And that's what we really have to do, is show up like hope, so people hand us their hopelessness, and we can show them a very different world.
As Tawanda said, preach, Bishop. Right. I mean, that's it. Drop the mic and just walk off. We just let the music play the last 20 minutes of the show. I'm not trying to that's it. I mean, bro, don't walk away from it, because that's real, right? I mean, and here's the thing. So in spite of what you said, what people will say is, well, if I made it, everybody can make it. And
that's not true.
Right. So that's what a particular conservative news network does. They parade the magic Negro around. So they take somebody like me, my story, right? So so on my block, somehow, thank God, I made it out. But, a lot of folk still got caught up, right? And unfortunately, a number of my friends, that we hung out with in other neighborhoods lost their lives before they were 21. But then they take you and they parade you around and say, see, if they would all just done what I had done, right? I mean, listen, you all. First of all, this system has a series of moving goalposts. Have we not learned that? You don't believe me? Look at what happened in Georgia and in Florida and all across the country. In fact, in this state, the Republicans just released, I think, a 99-page report on how to, quote unquote, fix the broken election system that had zero problems except Republicans trying to vote when they shouldn't have voted in the last election, right? Why are they doing that? Because we were successful. We played by their rules, which were already biased against us, and beat them at the game. And now Kamala Harris is the vice president. We did it before, and Barack Obama served 2 terms. And so what is the answer? Do you just leave the playing field level or level it more? No, you have to make it more uneven. Sure. And so don't tell me that somehow, this is just about Black accountability. Oh, if you had only voted. Well, yeah, I would have, if not for, all of these roadblocks that were just set up. So we recognize this. So yes, take personal accountability, take your own responsibility, and at the same time, continue to fight, to work to dismantle white supremacy in all of its forms, right. Whether it is in the Springfield Township public school where discipline is disproportionately targeted toward Black girls, or whether it is in, I don't know, anything else that you can just, stick your hand into a jar, close your eyes, and pull out a cause, and it's there. And so you have to do both. We can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. To show you that, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to still continue to think about these things at the same time. We're going to pause, but we're not going to stop thinking. It's the Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Pennsylvania Horticultural Society supports WURD and presents the 2021 Philadelphia Flower Show, Habitat Nature's Masterpiece, June 5th to 13th, now blooming outdoors for the first time ever at FDR Park in South Philadelphia. Safely enjoy 15 acres of blooming gardens and artful floral displays, shopping, entertainment, and new food and beverage options, including park picnics and beer gardens, taking place outdoors this summer. Tickets and details available at phsonline.org.
Hi, this is Philly Congressman Brendan Boyle, reminding you to please get your COVID-19 vaccine. Remember, the vaccines are free, safe, and the best way to protect you and your loved ones from COVID-19. And if your vaccine requires a second shot, please don't skip it. It's just as important as the first. If you want more information, you can email me at brendanboyle@mail.house.gov. Remember, Philly, our best shot at beating COVID is through the vaccine.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Imagine signing a loan for your dream kitchen, only later to find an undisclosed balloon payment due in 3 years. This happened. Deceptive mortgage brokers preyed on Philadelphians. I went after the banks and forced them to forgive $2 million. My name is Chris Hall. I am a candidate for the Court of Common Pleas in the May 18th primary. The Bar Association rates me highly recommended. Visit chrishallforjudge.com. Button 22, paid for by Friends of Chris Hall.
Are you looking for a job? WURD has got you covered. We just launched a brand new job portal featuring jobs from some of Philadelphia's leading companies and art organizations. Visit the portal right now to see jobs from WURD Radio, the Kimmel Center, Her Foods, Always Best Care, and more. Apply today. Visit our livelihood website at wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Indeed.com. Looking at 95 southbound traffic. Getting jammed now coming down through Bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound looks pretty good. Westbound Vine. Busy 8th Street out through Broad, the Light Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. On the Schuylkill westbound, getting heavy Broad to Pass Young through the ongoing construction there. Down to 1 lane as a result. Eastbound 76 Bluebird through the curve. You're slower than Delay City through the Roosevelt. The Boulevard Route 1 southbound. Some slowing now Broad down to Fox through construction. 55 northbound. Deptford in the 42 getting heavy. With Indeed Instant Match, you can accelerate the hiring process. Just sponsor a job and you'll get a list of quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches your job description. Fast hiring, no speeding tickets. Visit Indeed.com/credit. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
A cool start this morning, but plenty of sunshine and a bit breezy. Near 60 at lunchtime and a high of 65 this afternoon. With gusty winds, more clouds later this afternoon. Some spotty showers are possible. Back to sunshine for Wednesday, a high of 66 after a morning low of 43. And a bit warmer on Thursday, mostly sunny skies, 70 the high. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you all the information and things that are happening around Philadelphia. All right.
And vicinity.
And vicinity.
Lord have mercy. Say that part.
That's right.
Oh, man. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, listen, so last night we did a virtual teach-in. We Power Live Free with a group of clergy who showed up to hear our thoughts around the impending legislation in City Council, the CPOC, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, which is going to replace the PAC, the Police Advisory Commission. And I think it's really important that, that in this moment we have an election, we got budget things. There are a lot of things that are happening in the city that, this could kind of go under the wire, and before you know it, it pops up and it's like, oh, wow, how did that crappy legislation happen, right? So first of all, we talked about this a lot, but, as we get close to the hearings that are going to start on it, and I guess a vote that they hope to have, they want this done before the new budget is signed. So that's just, a couple of months from now, not even 2 months. That it's important to kind of continue to lay before at least our listeners and the community what we think are the most important issues here. And so with the CPOC, this is new. And I mean, this is like real police oversight if you follow the legislation as it's been proposed by Councilmember Curtis Jones. I mean, first of all, kudos to Councilmember Jones, because when he introduced this back in like the fall, we were kind of like, because we hadn't talked to him at all about, other council members Power Live Free had been talking to about these things, and we knew where they stood, but we were kind of like, oh, we don't know. And then we did the town halls that, a lot of you all heard us talking about and participated in. But he has presented some really, really good legislation. It's not perfect, and it will still take some time over years to get it even stronger. But if it goes in the way that it is written and intended, this is going to be good legislation. So first of all, the clergy will be signing on to a letter, and we're going to post that for you on tomorrow on the show. Post it every day if we have to, for you to take that to your faith leader, to your imam, to your pastor, to your priest, to your rabbi, to whatever person, in your circle. We want clergy to sign on. But we'll also be doing things we want others in the community as well to put pressure on City Council to pass the legislation as it is written. Because I have a suspicion, call me cynical, that there are some people who don't want strong police oversight.
Were their offices happen to be up in the Northeast, not too far off the boulevard?
Yeah, maybe.
They like to hang out with the Proud Boys and celebrate Donald Trump and Mike Pence? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they like having beers with Proud Boys in FOP headquarters. Apparently,
yes.
That's what people told me.
Yes.
That's what I've never been there inside. I've been on the outside for a protest. That's as close as I could get. And so there is a real move afoot for real transparency, real accountability. But I want to just lift up one of the most important parts that's got to happen first. It is, how do you get the first commission seated?
Yes.
So how do you get these 9 people? Now,
That's
City Council. So the proposal, this is a big flaw, and I said this to Councilmember Jones, and we didn't just take him a problem, we offered a solution. We thought the commissioner should be elected by the citizens. I think that makes sense, but trying to pull an election this fast, we know it's not going to happen. Perhaps we'll get there one day. Right now, they're proposing that a selection panel be created. The selection panel will then go off and bring back the 9 commissioners for City Council to approve or to reject until they get 9 people. Now, the selection panel will be made up of appointees by the mayor and the City Council. So first of all, it is a full stop, in my opinion, on the mayor having any involvement in this process. The spirit of the legislation was intended to take police oversight, such as it is, out of the hands of the mayor completely, right? So why would the mayor have anything to do with this? No. Kill that part right there. no mayor, and this is not about Jim Kenney, but the mayor shouldn't have anything to do with it because the mayor hires the police commissioner. And so we want independence, and we need a different body to oversee this. Our thought is that the selection panel should be nominated by the Public Safety Committee of City Council, and that the City Council as a whole can then either accept those nominations or reject them for the commissioners. And we believe this because the Public Safety Committee is really pretty sharp on this issue. Councilmember Jones, Kenyatta Johnson, Helen Gim, Isaiah Thomas, Kendra Brooks, Derek Green. I'm telling you, they are zoned in on this. They have been doing their homework, and we have a good deal of trust that they will bring us back commissioners who will represent the community well, and then let City Council, who has not been paying attention to this, most of whom didn't come to any of the town halls, and probably can't tell you police oversight from, I don't know, like a hole in the ground. Let this group lead that charge and bring back commissioners, and then I think we'll start with a very good commission.
There you go. Well, I think.
What do you think?
Well, I think that's right. They've been participating. They understand the issues. They've looked in it very deeply. And I personally think that any of the council members who have taken FOP PAC money need to recuse themselves.
FOP PAC money.
I think they need to recuse themselves on this.
Yeah, should the FOP be funding?
That might be some of the folk on the committee too, but nevertheless, but I think if you've taken FOP PAC money, you got to recuse yourself.
I think you're right. Follow the money.
Yep.
Because it usually leads you in the right place. So, and speaking of the money, it has to have a budget. That's the second fight.
Yeah.
The first fight is who gets on it. Second fight is the money to fund it. And then the third fight is to protect the duties and powers as outlined. And this budget, remember, the budget right now for the PAC is like $500,000.
Which is ridiculously low compared to a $750 million police budget.
Yep. So we want you to keep the police accountable. Now they've got a $750 million budget. We're going to give you $500,000. Is that enough?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. That's not even 1%. That's not even 1%. That's like a fraction of a percent.
Here, 50 cents. Go fix
wait a minute. How many complaints are there a year?
1,000.
1,000 complaints.
Wait, let me just say, 1,000 that are registered. People, because most people are like, why would I complain against the police? Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. But there are 1,000 crazy people.
So wait a minute, 1,000 complaints is a $500,000 budget. So we have essentially assigned like $500 per complaint. That's all you get.
This is hilarious. Reverend Joe Simmons says, Rev, nice commercial for yourself. When did Dr. King and Reverend Leon Sullivan serve on the inside of a broken system, selling out again? I love that you love listening to us. I love it. Thanks, Joe. What did I just do?
Yeah, what did you say that said that?
But this is how Philly is, right? Because somebody called me actually from the PAC. I won't call the person's name. And they started the conversation with, so I know you want to be on the commission. And I stopped. I said, what are you talking about? Well, of course you want to be on the commission. I'm like, why? Because I'm fighting for this? I'm like, dude, we fought just as passionately for wages at the airport. Did I want to work on the airport and the ramp or push wheelchairs?
Nope.
No. We fought equally for higher wages for teachers and for public schools. That's the problem. I guess because if you're in a place where everybody only does something because they get something out of it.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know what my schedule looks like and my life looks like? Do you really think I want to be on the commission? Are you crazy? Anybody who believes that? Come on, man. let me tell you, the good thing about power is live free. We've got a ton of great people who I think actually would make good commissioners, people who have studied this and who are doing it for the right reasons. Folk like Bo and Amy and Michael and Gail and Leroy, folk who, they do this every single day and they get no remuneration for it.
That's right.
So, just calm down. So I really want to be on an unpaid commission? Yeah, okay, it makes a lot of sense. That's selling out. You don't get nothing in return. Huh?
I know. Hey, well, look, it's time for us to go. Hey, I just want to shout out all of our YouTubers out there, Nikki O. Tim, Lola Khan, and Kasua Sarah is out there, Joanne Kemp. Everybody's hanging out over there. They were like, YouTubers are here, and we're like, yes, we know, we see you, we're thankful for you, we appreciate you.
Oh, I didn't see their stuff. Well, let me just say this: if I sell out, I want a real position.
Look,
I want to be dog catcher of Philadelphia. Don't give me some stinking police commission. I want to be the dog catcher, because, like my man said in Friday, never mind. I won't say that on there.
Oh, Lord. All right, let's go. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking us out here on the Power Hour. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Too much.
To bring you the latest happenings around Philadelphia.
Y'all are too much.
Our opinions, which we have.
Try to help the city and get accused of all kinds. That's too much.
Thank you, Dr. Tyler, for doing whatever it is you do each morning.
Jesus, keep it near the
for holding down the board to get this show up on the air. We appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's listening to us on the air, through the app, through Alexa, through Facebook, through YouTube, whatever it means you're listening to us. We deeply appreciate you. Stay tuned now for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And listen, family, do us a favor. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.